Hello! This is wild. I can't believe that I'm doing a live stream here and talking to you guys through my laptop. It's still just kind of blowing my mind. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between my wife's laptop down here and the live feed up here. So when I'm over here, I can at least monitor some of the chats and get feedback from you guys and answer questions that you want to hit me with. So first and foremost, thank you for checking this out. This is pretty awesome. So I appreciated all the feedback I got from everyone last week when I did speak about, hey, how am I going to do the balance of making the videos and building my truck? Because I love my wife and I want to stay married to her. And if I try and do both at the same time, it's going to implode and I'll be living in my truck. So with that said, I do thank you guys for giving me the grace to start bringing you some different content. I'm going to be trying all these different things out. Because one thing I miss when I'm doing this channel stuff is I miss the engagement. I loved forums. I've been a big fan of like CK5 and Pirate and K5Blazer.com and all that stuff for years because there's just a wealth of information and you can engage with each other when you are on there. This, I'm just talking to a camera, then I upload it and I get feedback from you guys in terms of the comments. But I'm really looking forward to today to seeing how this goes and seeing what's going on. So I'm going to take a look here and go, wow, you guys are here already. I'm kind of amazed people are showing up. That blew my mind to begin with. So for those of you who don't know me, who just stumbled upon this channel, I'm going to give you guys a little background as to who I am and why I've got this channel in K5 Blazer. So I have been in love with square bodies ever since I first saw them back in the mid-80s, late 80s and 90s. And I wanted one so badly. I saved and saved and saved, and I bought an 87 GMC Jimmy. From a buddy of mine, it had 90,000 miles on it. It was 1994. It had the small block, the half tons, had a no lift and 33s, and it was bone stock apart from that. And I paid cash for it. I worked my nuts off to get it, and I was so fired up when I finally got it. And it was my daily driver forever and ever. So I took this truck, and it took me through high school, it took me through college, it did everything for me. And then with the gas being what it just wasn't a reliable truck for me anymore, and it sat on the side of the road, and man, I didn't do anything with it for several years. So fast forward, I've popped out some kids with my wife, we've got our family going, I've got my house, I'm doing all that, and I start having a little bit more free time thinking, I want to build something that we can take the family anywhere I want to go. If we want to go to Baja, if we want to go to Moab, if we want to go up to Canada, we've got this truck, we jump in it, boom, we go. So I started looking at Ford Excursions. I loved the size. The size, you could fit anything in these things. And the 7.3 diesel that the early Ford Excursions came with is just a bomb-proof, reliable, powerful motor, very simple, and just still a very, very highly desirable motor. Unfortunately, people know that, and so those Ford Excursions were prohibitively expensive. You're going to get one for 20 grand. It was going to have 260,000 miles on it. So my wife said to me, she said, well, if you're going to buy that, you got to sell the Blazer. And that wasn't going to happen. And so I just did a 180 at that point, and I said, I'm going to throw everything into the Blazer. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to build. And that's how it began, probably 3 or 4 years ago now. And it just rekindled this childhood passion I had always had for the square bodies. And I now had the means and finances and time and space to put it all together and build what I wanted. And it was glorious. And I for several years, I built the truck. It was days, hours, weeks, months in the dirt. Rolling axles in and out, spraying the bottom of the frame, cleaning everything out. Anything that looked questionable, I pulled it out and replaced it. And it wasn't until pretty much the end of my build that I'd been talking to Kurt at DIY 4x, which is a fantastic company. For those of you out there who are into square bodies, I cannot highly recommend Kurt at DIY 4x enough. Thumbs up to Kurt. He's an awesome dude. Anyway, I approached Kurt and I said, man, you have some amazing stuff. Their hydraulic assist shock tower mount, or hydraulic assist ram mount that mounts on the axle tube, reasonably priced. It probably is going to cost you more in metal to make this than Kurt sells it for. And I remember seeing all these cobbled together bracketry and complex systems that people had used to put their ram on their tie rod. And I just thought, why is people doing this? And I realized no one knows about Kurt's channel, because Kurt's store, because he's a fabricator. Yes, he's known in the industry with the square bodies, but I'm looking at this stuff going, more people need to know about this. So I approached Kurt and I said, let me make some videos for you. And he said, go for it. And I did. I didn't have any experience with it. I just thought that I wanted to share this knowledge with the square body community. And that's what I was able to do. So that kind of led to one thing, led to another, People started approaching me saying, hey, would you do a video on this? Would you do a video on that? That was like 2.5, 3 years ago, and it's grown ever since to the point where I'm sitting here talking to a handful of people on YouTube. So I'm going to jump over and take a look at some of the questions, if there's anything come through yet, and answer some of the stuff that people have been asking me through IM, Instagram, and Facebook. My trailer. Good question. The trailer is pretty much finished. I did everything I wanted to do with that. That's an M101A3 military trailer that I tow behind my truck. That's got my rooftop tent on it. I love that trailer. They are fantastic trailers. They're reasonably priced. They're the same track as the Blazers, and you can find them pretty much anywhere. They are on Gov Liquidation, Gov Planet, Craigslist. And I've been scouting for one for a while, and I found this one down in Orange County, called the guy up, blasted down there. I did a video on it when I went and picked it up because it was just too good to pass up and exactly what I was looking for. So when I got it back, I built this platform rack on top to hold my rooftop tent. I stuck the 38s from my truck that I'd replaced with the 40s, long story there, but never mind, onto the trailer. And once I had the trailer up and running, I finished the rack, put the rooftop tent on it, and built a solar array for it to charge this backup battery system in there, and we're off and running. We have loved that trailer. It's done dump runs for us. It's done, you know, taken stuff to the beach. It's gone camping with us. It's gone four-wheeling with us. It's taken us out into Pismo. It's just been a really cool piece of kit. So nothing really has changed with it. I consider that project technically done. I'm sure things will change and morph on it as we move forward. But at this point, yes, it's done. So let me see what other questions you guys are hitting me with. Okay, what else can we talk about? Timeline for my project. I know that I've been teasing with the Bilsteins and all that stuff for a while here, and I apologize for that, but I've been collecting all the parts I needed and wanted to get this thing going. I hate moving into a project half-cocked with not all the parts I like to have in place. I want to know exactly what my course of action is, have all the parts necessary, and have studied and learned how to do it before I even embark on it. And so I am waiting on a couple things. The ORD link kit was finished this week. Spoke to Steven, and it's on its way out here. And that is pretty much the last piece of the puzzle. I have some axle shafts coming from Yukon that are going to go in the Dana 60, and then boom, it's getting stripped down. First course of action will be basically get the truck up on jack stands, on the body, not on the on the frame, not on the axles. And then I'm going to be able to pull the front axle into the garage, and the work will begin on that, stripping it down, changing the locker out, cutting off brackets, welding on link kits, doing a brake job on it, the whole shebang. So that will be project number 1, and at the same time I'm looking to strip down the front clip of the truck. I have a radiator that's giving me some issues, and I've got some rattles up there that I'm sure, because I've rolled my truck, and it's a hacked and pieced together system for the inner wheel liners and the front quarters. So I'm going to pull that all down, go through some of the nuts and bolts, make sure everything's tight, replace the radiator, build all the shock hoops and the engine bracing, and maybe tie the bumper into the cage, like an engine cage. Haven't really decided on that yet, but needless to say, it's kind of overwhelming. I'm tripping out on how much stuff I have to do there. But that's where that stands. I hope to start on that in the next 2 weeks. So I'll be getting you guys a video next week that details some of the stuff that I've got coming in. Okay, what else are you guys looking at? Updates on the LED headlights. Summer's here. It stays light for a long time. Oh, and that was from Jacob Ellis. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate the comment. Shoot, where do I stand with the LED headlights? Well, every company and their mother is sending me LED headlights, which is, or not sending me, but being like, hey, can you review my light bar? Can you review my light bar? And as I said in my video, I've never seen a rigid headlight or rigid light bar. I've never used KC highlights or any of the new stuff they have out there. My only exposure has been to the cheap light bars. And they work flawlessly. In fact, I think they're probably all made by the same 4 manufacturers. So the LED light bar that I put in has been flawless. Apart from the fact that where I have it bolted underneath the cowl on the core support rattles. So the LED light bar rattles. I'm going to probably come up with some isolators, dampeners underneath the bracket to core support interface to try and reduce some of that bouncing back and forth. But the LED light bar itself, flawless. Headlights are a completely different story. I don't really know what to do here. The Sylvania light bulbs that I got are incredibly bright, and with the housings that the H4 Hella housings, I'm really, really happy with how those headlights are. The old headlights were junk. What I'm running into is the buckets on mine are all they're trashed. They're all, the bolt that it screws into is damaged, and so as a result, it's hard to adjust them. So these are the things that necessitate new projects for me, and I will be getting into that and probably tearing that down too. But the Sylvania headlights with the H4 housings are fantastic. Did I change the bulbs in my Phantom dashboard? Yeah, I did. The Phantom dashboard comes, good call on that, by the way. Those ultralights, the Autometer Phantoms, they have been my freaking favorite forever. I grew up, back in high school, the big thing for my buddies and I was street racing. My buddy had a 67 fastback, 280, no, it was a 302, I think, big blower on it. It ran like high 11s, and we'd all go out, meet at this one Wiener Schnitzel, and at like 2 in the morning on a Saturday night, we'd drive into the middle of San Jose somewhere, and there'd be these freaking massive street races. And every car I lusted for out there ran Autometer Phantom gauges, the ultralights. And I just, man, to me, I looked at that gauge and I thought, that means your car is fast. So when I built my truck, it was no doubt that I was going to use those lights. And they got here, and the whole incandescent bulb that people use, I don't understand why you wouldn't go to LED at this point. I don't understand why companies like Autometer aren't making an LED retrofit kit that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Because let's be honest, the amount of money people charge for LEDs when they are pennies on the dollar, come on. Just build us a harness that has LEDs built into it so we can exchange all the incandescent bulbs in there. So yes, I did swap those out, and the challenge I ran into was getting the light pattern, and this is always a problem with LEDs. They don't have the diffuse light pattern that an incandescent halogen bulb will have. They tend to have what I've experienced is more hotspot type stuff. And so I'm happy with the way the gauges look and the way the dash lights work, but they're not my personal favorite. If I could fix something on there, it would be that, but I got so much other stuff. My roof is still all jacked up from when I rolled it. So I've got some other stuff to fix on that front. Links and towing features. That is from, oh, and Big Lack 21. Boom. Thank you, buddy, for the question on the LED bulbs. Chris Greneau and Wantako want to know about updates on the link setup. Yeah, so Steven at Off-Road Design and I have been going back and forth for a long time, trying to get some understanding of exactly what the best application is going to be for my truck, you know, low link brackets, high link brackets. And we finally settled it down, and I know what we're doing. It's just been waiting for the parts to get fabbed. They finished up on the table, I think this week or last week, and are now on their way to me. I should get them probably, I would guess, next week or the week after. That's going to be all the hardware, bracketry, links that I need. I do need to go and buy some bump stop brackets, but I'm probably going to wait until I know where they're going to go on the frame before I start doing that, because I plan on plating the frame, not boxing the frame, but where I'm going to be mounting the shocked arches for up front in particular, and the bump stops. I want to plate the frame with like some 1/4 inch or something. So when I do that, I'll probably be building my bracket for the bump stop then. Coils, everything's set on those. I mean, they're box standard. They're just fresh out the box right now, so there's been no tuning on them in terms of valving. But the spring rates, I didn't calculate the spring rate into the coilovers. I'm gonna have to mess with it. I don't tow all that time, so I wanted to get a spring rate that was going to be compatible with how it's going to be when I'm, you know, when it's loaded and wet. And that's what I calculated the spring rate about. I have no pretense that I'm going to have to tweak some of the spring settings. I guarantee that I got some of them wrong. I mean, it involved math, and so my head kind of exploded at that aspect of it anyway. But yeah, Steven helped me with that, and we've got an idea. And yeah, we're good to go on there. Yeah, Andrew Branham, I am going to be running shock hoops. There isn't really any other way to get these coilovers in the truck. Going to be doing some, I don't know if you ever saw Fred's Alabama Army truck build, where they did the ORD link kit up front. That was one of the big selling points to me, because I saw the kit in person, and I saw how it basically looks factory. You barely had to window the wheel liner, which is important to me to have the wheel liners in. You barely had to window the wheel liner in to get the shock through, and then the shock hoops mounted straight to the frame, shock towers, tie bar, engine cage in between, and you were golden. I do hope to lower my truck a couple inches when I do this swap. That's going to involve clearancing some of the... let me just go turn on a light real quick. There we go. Sorry, lights went out. So yeah, I am going to be running shock hoops. I am hoping to lower the truck a couple of inches. By lowering the truck, I need to figure out the clearances. I've moved my axle forward about 1.5 inches over stock when I put in the A-bomb and put in the hangers and the 52-inch springs. I used the DIY 4x Easy Inch to move that axle forward. That gave me a lot more clearance because the wheels were tending to rub on the back. And so I don't know what I'm going to do there. I'm going to hopefully lower it as much as I can and just rely on the bump stops. So that's the that's the front tower bracket. So yes, I am going to be doing that. What else do you guys want me to talk about? I don't have a plan here. I don't have any agenda. I just I'm looking forward to engaging with you guys, and this is a new medium for me, and I thought it would be a good way to connect. So K5 Club 1. No, I don't think there's going to be a problem with the shock hoops and steering shaft. The steering shaft is pretty inboard and higher. And no, I don't think I'm going to have any issues with clearance. I think my clearance issues are going to come with running 40-inch tires. The rear wheel arches really eat a 40-inch tire quite nicely. I'm not worried about the back at all. The front is a different story, especially lock to lock. Right now, I pulled my steering stops off the knuckles of my Dana 60 and rely on a shaft collar on the ram mount on the hydraulic assist to limit my steering. But I will rub on my leaf springs at full lock, so especially under compression. Under compression, that tire catches a lot of things. I want to move my hydraulic hoses for the ram assist. I want to relocate. Obviously, the spring is going to be gone, but I want to make sure that I'm clearancing the link bars themselves. And I have a lot of stuff riding on the wheel liners. I've got the transmission cooler, I've got the second battery, I've got a bunch of electrical stuff mounted on it, I've got the PCM mounted on it, so I have to keep those, and so I'm going to have to work around how to get that situated and figured out. But steering shaft I don't think is going to be an issue. Where do I think my challenges are going to come from interference? Basically, it's the cross member to the axle. It's being the cross member to the ram's assist cylinder, which I run on top of my Dana 60. That's been the limiting factor and where I stopped bump at previously. So I think that's probably going to be the same area that I'm running into issues with. And this is why I went with the ORD kit. I don't know these things. I don't know links. This is all new to me, and there is so much information out there, and you really have to nail it down. And there's probably 2 or 3 good companies that are doing good link kits for this. Fortify Off-Road is making a great link kit for the front with the radius arm setup they've got. I think they're working on a rear setup too. And I know you can get parts and accessories from Rough Stuff and all those other places. But when it came to a soup to nuts link system for me, the ORD, those guys had already done all the work. You talk to Steven, and that guy, he's forgotten more than I know. So his wealth of information is just a resource for me, and I'm grateful to be partnering up with him to do this. So, what else we looking? LS harness from Elijah HCBR. I think you're down in Oxnard, brother, or Ventura. We got to connect. And I'd like to put my spare tire in a swing away type bracket like the Broncos. Yeah, Jacob Ellis, if you want to do a swing away, well, here's my thoughts on a swing away. I went with the swing down for a couple of reasons. I like giving a rear platform, and every swing away I've seen, even really strong ones, I've watched them bounce off. The nice thing about the swing down is you've got 2 points of fixation down below that lock it to the bumper. The swing aways you're going to have on either side, giving you that 4.5 movement that with a heavy tire. But then again, there's tons of guys running them that way. So yes, my suggestion to you is to use a steering hub. Use a hub and a bearing assembly on the rear bumper to support the swing away. It's a good place to put a spare assembly should you ever blow yours up when you're out there. But you got to know that it's designed to handle the torque and shear force and load that you're putting on it. So that would be my recommendation for that. What do you think of the aux cable locker over the Eaton, from Billy Block, the aux cable locker over the Eaton electric locker? My experience with auxes hasn't been good. I'll just leave it at that. I don't have much experience with them. I like the idea of a cable direct linkage. I like that. Being a square body enthusiast, I was all about direct connection. Drive-by-wire, screw that. You know, throttle cables are the way to go. And direct shift linkages, I was all for that. I've now made the jump, and I'm in a drive-by-wire truck. I've got the electric harness doing pretty much everything. But when it comes down to stuff like differentials and things like that, I'd rather have 2 separate enclosed systems. Having a link between them, whether that is air or cable, makes me nervous because you're taking the risk of damage away from the assembly in the differential, which is incredibly strong and protected, and you're putting it up underneath the truck. I don't know too much about how the aux locker works. I would assume it's a very similar system where it's meshing and grabbing to the carrier to stop the spider gears from moving to give you a locked. And if that's the case, I'm sure they can work really well. My thing would be minimizing the distance between the linkage and, between the shift linkage for the aux locker and the differential. I would want them as close together and as direct line as I could, because they're not going to see the use that the cable shifters will see, like the gate shifter or my JB conversion shifter. So you go to use it, and if it doesn't work, it may be gummed up, all kinds of things. I like the electrical simplicity of the E-Locker. It makes sense to me. If all you need to send is a switched 12 volt, it's so dirt simple and so easy. And yeah, I mean, you can run into problems if you route that incorrectly, but we've got wiring all over our truck. And with wiring, it doesn't matter how much you run. So if you're running the electrical line and you have to snake it all throughout the truck to avoid it getting damaged, there's not going to be any latency, any lag. You've got a circuit that you're either setting switched or you're not. And that fires the electromagnet, which locks the axle. I like that. ARB, great stuff. It was expensive. Bottom line, it was expensive. Eaton did kick down a locker for me. ARB, their direct words were, we have to have it professionally installed. Or they highly recommended getting it professionally installed, just because 99.9% of the problems that they experience, and I think this is a testament to the quality of their product, are problems in the install. If they're installed correctly, you can get problems. If you install the ARB air locker properly, it's as the testament to everyone out there who has used them for years, they're just going to work. I didn't like having a separate air cylinder. I thought, the fact that I've got an air compressor on my truck already, I don't want to put another one in, and there was no way to turn mine into a slave for that. So that's why I went with the E-Locker. I did think about it quite a bit, and I think E-Lockers had some issues in the beginning. I do think that the first generation of the Eaton E-Locker probably didn't have the refinements that the new one does. If you look at any vehicle coming out of the factory now, they've got electric lockers. I mean, the technology has reached a point where it just works. There is no more tweaking and manipulating to get it to figure out how to do it. We know what it does, we know how it works, and they've refined it. So I'm confident in the E-Locker. We'll see. I mean, I was confident in my drive shaft till I broke it twice. I was confident in my driving until I rolled my freaking truck. Anyway, so thank you for the question. Kriskin Rowe, is Bilstein going to help me tune the shocks, or are you going to do it yourself? I think I'm going to be doing it myself. I'm going to reach out. I'm definitely going to reach out. I would love Bilstein to help me tune the shocks. I just don't know if they... I don't know. I have talked to several companies and people that I respect their tuning abilities and work and what they do. And I will be going to get them tuned, because that's the massive, massive difference. Anyone can link a truck. You can throw a kit on, you can weld some brackets on. Making it work perfectly requires tuning. It's just like tuning your PCM when you put in an LS motor. Get that PCM tuned, and you will maximize the benefits of all that money and effort you put in. I feel the same way with the shocks. So hopefully I will find someone to do it. Do you have Hydro Boost steering and Hydro Boost for brakes? I do have Hydro Boost. Funny story. When I first dropped the LS in it, I couldn't wait to drive the truck. So I pretty much, as soon as the transmission was connected and I knew I wasn't going to die, I took the truck out and started driving it. And all the vacuum lines from the manifold, from the air clean, from the valve covers were still wide open. So the truck was running super rich and just super rich. Wait, it had way too much air coming in. Yeah, so it was running super rich. And it was just pegged at like $2,000 all the time, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and my brakes didn't work. So I discovered, I hadn't connected up the Hydro Boost. So I did connect up the Hydro Boost. It's made a big difference. The brakes on this truck are great. I mean, that's, in my opinion, one of the benefits of going to the Dana 60 is you go to a Dana 60 and you're getting 1-ton brakes. I mean, these are brakes that were designed around a truck that, you know, might have a gross VW weight of 12,000 pounds or something. So the brakes are great. Switching to the disc in the back was fantastic. That made a huge difference. But the one area that I still notice that the brakes could use some improvement is they're big, heavy cast truck brakes. And they work great, but they get hot. They get hot pretty quickly. And I live in the mountains, or very close to the mountains here in Santa Barbara, and I'm coming down the pass sometimes, and the brakes will get hot. I'll start smelling them. So that is something I'd like to address. I discovered this week, thanks to a couple of you guys pointing out to me, that Arizona Performance Racing do a Dana 60 Willwood kit. So I'm in talks with them about seeing what we can do about getting that up on the Dana 60, because better braking up front would be fantastic. Am I going to sell my old... Oh, sorry. Hydro Boost. Hydro Steering. I've got Hydro Steering. That's... I've got Hydro Assist Steering, I should say. It's pretty much a must when you go over a 37 or 38-inch tire, in my opinion. It just makes... Steering my truck is a dream. I mean, that axle and tire assembly is incredibly heavy. And without it, I can't imagine, you know, I can't imagine my steering box keeping up and managing. So going to a hydraulic assist is the way to go. You still get all the feedback, and the steering wheel feels the same way. You still have return to center. All the downsides to a full hydraulic steering you don't have. But you don't have the power of full hydro, but it's a perfect balance, and it acts, in my opinion, like a steering stabilizer. You have some dampening in the fact that you've got this hydraulic cylinder that runs about 5,000 psi, helping with your steering. I did have some issues with death wobble when I first did my install, and I know I've been contacted by a bunch of you guys about death wobble. So in a nutshell, I think the best way to avoid death wobble is making sure your alignment is dead center. This is after you've gone through all the basics. Make sure everything's tight. A loose tie rod is going to give you death wobble. Worn out kingpin springs or broken bushing is going to give you death wobble. Camber and, not camber and cast, you don't have camber, but your toe will make a huge difference, and you do have to be pretty specific on how you get that toe dialed in. So that's my tip for you on death wobble. I know some of you guys are dealing with it quite a bit. Hydro Boost kit. Hydro Boost kit came with the truck. I mean, I just have the hydraulic assist. I have the vacuum assist. I have a brake booster. I don't have hydraulic assist brakes. Sorry. I hope I didn't make too much confusion on that. What else we got? How hard is the engine swap? I did it. That's all you need to know. It's not hard. It's where I was always intimidated. And it's funny, like I was a bike mechanic. Santa Cruz bikes. I raced bikes. I still got my numbers up here. I raced bikes forever. I was a bike mechanic. I raced downhill mountain bikes, and so I knew the inside and outside of bikes. I could rebuild a bike, I could build wheels, I could do all that stuff. I was always nervous about tuning carbs, believe it or not. That was, you know, adjusting timing, clocking distributors. That was my challenge, and electrical to be totally honest. So I was very cautiously optimistic that I was going to be able to do my LS swap with no issues, but I was also concerned because it was a rather large undertaking. I think what made mine easier for me was I removed everything. I removed stock motor mounts. I removed the stock harness. I removed the stock engine harness. I removed everything. New transmission, new transfer case, everything. We're talking from the ignition to the battery to the starter to the relays and everything. So that did give me a blank, clean slate to work with. If I was just dropping an LS motor into a truck right now without doing any of the harness stuff, I mean, you've got maybe 7 wires to connect up. And if you're worried about the electrical component being difficult, I can promise you it is not as daunting as you think. Drop it in, it sits perfectly, it will mate up. If you get a 4L60, 65, 4L, or 700, that's the same as a 700 R4. So it'll bolt right up to your stock transmission if you don't want to deal with any of that. You may blow up that transmission. I mean, the 4L65 was a progression in strength over the 4L60 and 700 R4, but you can also mate the Powertrans and TR400s, I mean TH400s and NPs and all that to it. So yes, do the LS swap if you're leaning towards it. It's not that difficult. It's a ton more power. The ability to read the engine dynamics with the little scan codes and know what's going on, it's a lifetime ahead. So do it. It's awesome. Pedro wants to know how much I have into my truck. Way too much money, Pedro. Way too much money. But don't tell my wife that. But no, I did a video a couple weeks back on tips and tricks for buying stuff. There are so many avenues out there to find cheap parts for these trucks. It doesn't have to break the bank. Yes, I spent a lot of money, but it's been over like 4 or 5 years now. So look on Craigslist, go through the classifieds, buy a parts truck, start cruising through the junkyards. You will strike gold. I mean, I know Dana 60s are getting harder to find. I guarantee there's some lurking in some junkyard that are sitting under a truck that nobody knows it's there. Go find those. I've actually got hopefully another build coming up. I'm looking to pick up a Suburban diesel, turn into a big roll coal, stump pulling beast, and I'm gonna do what I can to build that truck as economically as I can. Hope my wife is not watching this live stream. If she is, I'll tell you about it later, honey. It's gonna be awesome though. The kids will love it. Sir William wants to know if I get paid off the stuff on my links. Hey, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, does this channel make me money? Yeah, it does. $100 a month. And I've done a video a week for over a year now, and before that, tons of them. I personally do this because I enjoy it. I enjoy the creative aspect of making the videos. It keeps me disciplined on working on my truck, keeps me always learning new stuff and checking into new technologies. The channel has basically become, a partner in helping me build my truck. That said, it doesn't really make money. And the Amazon stuff down below, yeah, if you guys are buying stuff for your truck and you click on that Amazon store and buy something, I get like a certain percentage, I think it's between 2 and 5%. It all helps, but that adds up to maybe, $10 a month. So it's nothing to get excited about. I mean, I have been blessed recently to have the partnership of some fantastic companies. And when I say partnership, that means that I've either paid a discounted price for the product or I was given the product. That has come with obligations to keep doing these videos and provide education and provide a forum to show off the products, but I haven't been paid for any of this. None of the stuff that's been given to me that I've been paid for. It's mostly being donated or provided by Eaton and Bilstein and Ibach and who am I forgetting? Yukon and Off-Road Design and DIY 4x. They have hooked me up and it's been fantastic. And I owe my thanks to you guys. You guys gave me this this platform and this opportunity, so thank you, thank you. That said, I'm a novice with this stuff too, so I'm going to tell you guys what I like, what I don't like, what works, what doesn't work. So, yeah, that's the answer to that question, I hope. What else we got here? What else you guys wanted me to talk about? I'm open to discussing anything. I don't know if this is going to be a regular occurrence. We'll see how this does. I mean, if you guys find this valuable, I will do it. That is kind of what brings me back to why I am doing this, is I received so much help and direction from the square body and truck and off-road community when I started my build. I'm talking just people helping me, people being very gracious on the forums with giving great product reviews and giving great run-throughs of technical skills and things like that. And I couldn't have built my truck without the internet. And I wanted to give back. I wanted to spread my passion for square body trucks. I wanted to spread my passion for reliability, for using your hands, for getting in there and doing work, for depending on your own mind and knowledge to get stuff done. I just wanted to encourage people to do that. I also saw an opportunity that there wasn't a whole lot of concise information in one place. When I built my truck, I went between probably 30 different websites. I'd learn a pearl over here, I'd learn a little trick over here, and I'd have to put the two together and move forward. And I thought, you know, I can try and provide all this in one place. And that's what I'm attempting to do. That's why I'm always looking for feedback on what you guys want from the videos, what you want to see, what you wanted me to do. Because that's kind of what I saw the opportunity for the channel to be. That said, I do want to do more travel videos. As I get the truck up and running and, you know, I want to get out there with my family. That's why I built this thing in the first place. It was to get out there. And I haven't done that as much as I'd like to recently. The build coming up is going to slow me down a little bit, but hopefully that will be over. You know, that won't take too long. But yeah, I'm looking to do more trips. Mojave Road, Rubicon, Moab, Colorado. There's just so much stuff I want to get out and explore. I mean, Mammoth, the Eastern Sierras, there's so much stuff out there to explore. I just want to go see it all. Okay. What's the longest off-road journey? Thanks for doing this. What kind of fuel pump did you run, and what's the PSI? Where are you from? Enjoyed the live show, dude. Keep up the good work. Okay. A lot of questions. Fuel pump. When you go to an LS swap, you are going to need to run a high-pressure fuel pump. The LS runs 56 to 58 PSI. And so you're going to need a fuel pump that can keep up with that. AC Delco makes one. Walbro makes one. I burned through a couple. I think in the future I'm going to do probably an aeromotive baffled design. The in-tank pumps get their cooling from the gas. As you run your tank low, it gets less radiant cooling because less gas. And I think I overheated my pump a couple times and fried a couple of them. I think I may have had one go bad too. I had a bad run of about 3 fuel pumps going bad. And the first time it happened, it took me a day or two to even trace it to the fuel pump. But yeah, Walbro makes a good one, and AC Delco makes a good one, and other than that, you're going to need a new sending unit. And then if you're running returnless, which is basically the delivery fuel is all that's needed, is demand system, you will need to get this inline Corvette filter / regulator. If you're running a return system, which is going to be, I think, 2004 and newer, sorry, 2004 and older on the LSs, LQ, LQ4, LQ9, LQ4, you can just run the regular system with a high-pressure fuel pump. Where I'm from England. That's where I'm from. Born and raised in England. Irish blood, English heart. Actually, English blood, English heart. Born and raised in England. Moved here when I was 9 years old to the Yay area. And grew up in the Bay Area. Got a ton of friends and family up there still. Actually, not much family because it was just my mom and dad and my brother moved over. And then I came down to Santa Barbara to go to college and never left this town. So I am a Brit. I'm a limey who loves square bodies and has since the age of about 16. So I'm pretty old now, so that's a long time. What vintage air system? I used the Gen 4 square body vintage air system, and I'm not going to put them on blast here because now is not the time and place, but it has been a challenge. The system itself is great. Vintage Air makes a very good system. I think the parts that I've had some challenges with are the parts in the system that are not manufactured by them. I've had issues with the serpentine belt since day one. I shredded a belt in Baja when I drove it down to Baja. That was fun. Between San Felipe and Mexicali, in the middle of the frickin' desert, I shredded a pump. I mean, shredded a belt. Wife, 3 kids all in the back seat, middle of Mexico, shredded belt. I was able to patch it back together and limp into town, but yeah, that was not cool. So I've had that issue with an alignment issue that I've been trying to solve with different brackets for the sanding compressor. And I've also had it leak. I'm on my 3rd time filling it up, and at $200 a pop, that gets really expensive, and it's pretty freaking frustrating. So I'm hoping to get that resolved here soon. And I don't know. When it works, it's fantastic. The heater's always been great. The size of it has been great. The fact that you're reducing the condenser and the evaporator and all that and just shrinking it down, it just frees up so much room for activities. It's fantastic. Ruben Olson. I grew up in the Bay Area, but Santa Cruz bikes, brother. Best bikes in the world, man. I love them. I'm a Santa Cruz diehard when it comes to mountain bikes. I grew up riding Bontrager's. Keith Bontrager, before he sold all the stuff to Trek, was building them in the garage in Santa Cruz, and I'd go over there and buy them from him. I'm old school when it comes to bikes. That's where my deep, crazy knowledge starts to come in. But Santa Cruz bikes, that's what you see there. I just have 3 or 4 of them. I don't have a lot of them. I guess I wear them a lot. The 3M wrap installation from Kate Marr. Incredibly easy. I mean, the detail is in the prep with that. You're going to want to make sure that you... Let me just fix the light here. Look at these things. These are the Lytras that I was telling you guys about in the Instagram post. These Lytras are pretty amazing. I mean, look at this. I take the diffuser off, and it's gnarly, and then I put the diffuser back on. And I've got a great little, like, lamp. Magnet on the back, so it can, like, stick to stuff. And it's the same size as a GoPro Session. So, this isn't a paid commercial for these. I just think these lights are fantastic. It fits in my GoPro Session stuff. Anyway, enough about lights. I was talking about my 3M wrap. It was really easy to install. It is a 2-person job. I don't know if you've seen the video I did on it, but heat and a good buddy who is patient and pays attention to detail is critical. You're going to have to smooth it out to make sure you don't get any air bubbles in it as you're going through, and that comes down to prep. Make sure that you have the paint prepped. I wet sand. I mean, I hit mine with a sander. I then wet sanded it, and then I did an acetone wash on it to get all the dust and stuff off. It's holding up fairly well. I had some bubbles in it. It passes the 5-10 foot test. So I'm good with it. And it's nice in the fact that you just pull it off and go to a different color, which I'll probably be doing here in the next year or so. Thank you for the question. Love the name. My family's from England too. Did you have to notch the frame with your headers? Are you still running the Schoenbergs? Merrick, hey! Ruler of the sea, buddy. That's what Merrick means. It's a great name. Thank you. Merrick's Garage, yes. I did not have to notch my frame to run the headers. I am still running the Schoenfeld. The only change I had to make was I had to cut so I can rotate the O2 sensor bung. So that was just cutting, rotating 90, and tack welding the header back together. Haven't had any issues. They're running great, and they're dirt cheap. Those are down below in my Amazon store. So if you do pick up a pair of Schoenfeld headers, you can find them in the Amazon store down below. But yeah, they were great and very easy to work with. What shocks do you recommend for my 85 Blazer? Bilsteins, man. Bilsteins. I'm not going to badmouth any company, but stay away from, you know what I'm talking about. Any shock that comes with a lift kit, you got to question whether that's a shock you want to put on your truck. The shock is doing the lion's share of the work. All the spring does is absorb. The shock is what controls the motion. And I see people putting these crappy shocks, and you can tell they're crappy when you've got 12 of them on each wheel. That's a problem right there. That should have been a red flag. Anyway, get the Bilsteins. I think it's the 5125s. I think that's what I ran. It's a monotube design. It can be run at any angle. It's got a zinc anodized shaft. I think they're like 80 bucks a piece. You need one per wheel. And I run 40s on 1-ton axle. And I ran 2 per axle, 1 each wheel, and it was fine. So go get the Bilsteins. I'm not just plugging them because they hooked me up with these coilovers. I'm plugging them because they flat out work. And they're in my Amazon store too. Shock. Anyway, Bilsteins, 8120 or 5125s. Can't go wrong. The other thing that I have heard, this is quite a lot more expensive, but the Fox shocks, the piggyback reservoir off of Ford Raptors. There's guys out there who are, linking their Raptors or going to bigger aftermarket shocks because, that's what you do when you get a truck. And they're getting rid of all their old stuff. So I'd recommend going and looking on the forums. Go to some of the truck forums and see. You might find some on there for a good deal. I'm a legend from my Aussie brother. Cheers, mate. What else do we have going on here? I can't believe I've been talking for an hour. I'm starting to get burned out on myself, so I'm sure you guys are too. So I'll wrap it up here unless you guys have any other questions. This was fun. This was enjoyable. I can't thank you guys enough. I love the engagement in emails and Instagram and comments that I get throughout the week. I've met some awesome people through this channel. And the Square community is just solid people. The off-road community are just solid people. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for tuning in tonight and checking out Merricks Garage. And I will be back next week with a new video. Peace.